everybody to this what if. Been a while. Yeah, doing this what if now. What if Naruto? No, what if Deku and Bakugou were the reincarnations of Hanzo and Gaijin, as you see in the screen here. Deku being Gaijin, the reincarnation of Gaijin. Bakugou being the reincarnation of Hanzo. But instead of them being from the universe that they come from, Hanzo and Gaijin are in the Naruto universe and they die there. So yes, no, Bakugou, Deku knows how to use chakra because they can wall climb, water walk. They might be able to use jutsu. I just never thought to give them any jutsu to use, but they might. Some of them can use the shadow clones, but not a lot. And vice versa. Continuing on. Now, it's been a while since I'm doing this what if. I mean, for you, if you're watching my videos, it hasn't been that long. It's just like a few days, I guess, for you. But yeah, for me it's a while. And I am just trying to remember all the things I did with this what if. I said we'll cover the USJ. So that's what we are going to be covering. If I did not do the heroes versus villains, hold up, give me a minute. Okay, now I remember, okay, yeah, we were doing the USJ, I just recapped it for me a bit. So yeah, USJ, let's take it off with the, obviously, on where we might have left off. We come back to the what if, to where Izuku and Bakugou are in a bus with a lot of their classmates. Todoroki, Ida, Maneda, Kirishima, Denki, I was going to say Dabi now, but I can't say that, Denki, Su, Uraka, and vice versa. Jiro and Momo, don't want to forget them. Yeah, we come back to the trio of Class 1A, or the Class 1A exactly, as we see them busy on the bus, as Suyu turns to Midoriya. So Midoriya, what actually is your quirk? It seems pretty powerful, Kiro. I'm not gonna do that again. I hate doing that. Okay, I'm gonna do it for the video. I'm gonna do it for the views. I'm gonna do it for the subscribers. Do it for use. I'm never gonna do that in my life again. This is just this one time, okay? Just this one time. As Izuku starts sputtering and trying to come up with a way to explain his abilities a bit more without giving away that these abilities are kind of abnormal and not technically able to be a quirk, as Bakugou saves his ass once again. As Bakugou starts screaming on the other side as if this gave him a few seconds of distraction, forming up a plan and stating, my quirk, well, my quirk is like a form of energy. A form of energy that is used for many things, but I mostly use it for strength. Yeah, as Ida says, well, that's most useful. I mean, from what we've seen your quirk do, such as clones, climbing on walls, water walking, making able to do jutsu, it seems pretty versatile. That is perfect for a hero, a person that wants to become a hero, yada yada. He just starts rambling while swinging his hand in a chopping motion in the air for no apparent reason. He's just stiff. He's straight as a stick. If you don't know what I mean, if you don't know what I mean, I don't know why you didn't watch the anime. Because you will realize this man does not break the rules. He's straight as a stick. And he's literally and metaphorically straight as a stick. But anyway, as yes, Bakugou takes a glance behind his brother Izuku, well, his reincarnated brother Izuku, as Izuku gives him a sigh and a smile, as Bakugou just gives him a whatever, and looks basically back in front. That outburst was just him distracting the crowd enough for Izuku to form a basically sneaky way to just try to figure out how to say his quirk without giving anything away. As the bus pulls up, as everyone gets out of the bus, as we see Class 1A line up to the USJ, which I don't know why they call it the USJ. I know they said it, the USJ was something rescue thing, and then they made a joke about some other place, but yeah, I don't remember really what they called it. So I'm just gonna call it the USJ. Now, as 13 comes up, as Uraka starts fangirling, because if you didn't know, 13 is Uraka's favorite hero. She's a rescue hero, and she has a quirk called Black Hole. That's 13. It's a space hero. As 13 starts showing the place around, talking about the USJ, as they enter the building, as they are by a bunch of steps, as heroes start to pour. As I would state before the villains start pouring in, the lights would flicker on and off. As I would state, everyone would look at Denki, as Denki would say, "Hey, don't look at me, it's not my quirk doing this time." As a black, purplish or portal would open up somewhere down the steps into the USJ, as a whole bunch of villains would start stepping out, plus a big villain with a brain that his brain is busy exposed, and also a man with a lot of hands, and a ghost monster. Sorry about that scratch noise. A lot of things around me at the moment. A lot. But yeah, I'm gonna continue this video now. As Izuku, obviously, as Izuku and Bakugou looks down, they both state at the same time, at the same moment, villains. As we see Kirishima state, are those guys part of the test? More fake villains we need to fight? Thought this was rescue training. As Aizawa states, 13, protect the students, those are real villains. As he basically tells everyone to stay back as he jumps into the fray first. As Shigaraki is on the other side. Seems like we have this annoyance now. Where's All Might? Shigaraki, you stated All Might was gonna be here. Well, I guess it seems to be unfortunate incidents has occurred the number one hero to be late. As Shigaraki states, that's fine. We'll just kill all these children then. And maybe then he'll show up. As, yeah, the villains go on attack. As Shigaraki disappears from, from, or the portal guy. I don't know his name. Kurigiri, there we go. I was trying to remember his name. Kurigiri, there we go. Shigaraki's the one with the hands, Kurigiri's the one with the weird head and yellow eyes. Purple head that's misty and yellow eyes. Kurigiri teleports between those children. as 13 moves to a defensive stand. As Kirigiri starts his villain monologue. Hello, hero students. You're wondering why we are here. Well, it's simple. We are here to kill the number one hero. And what better place he can die than the USJ? Huh? Don't you think? Well, please, put down all your attempts to fight me, because it will be fruitless. And just tell me where the number one hero is. As I would say, before you could continue his monologue, both Bakugou and Kirishima strike first. Bakugou and Kirishima clearly have the same mindset. If you strike first, they'll be the one taking the backlash, and you can continue it basically with your attack. As it both was fruitless, as their hands and attacks went right through him. As he states, well then, I don't want you informing any heroes now that this is happening. So, as Shigaraki lifts his hand, as mist starts to cover the entire area, as both Bakugou, Deku, and some of the classes get teleported throughout the USJ. Bakugou being by the Bakugou is by the, I guess you can say he's by the ruins, and Izuku's by the flood area. Both areas are quite close to each other, but still. Let's go to Bakugou first. The person that is with him is Bakugou, Kirishima, because Kirishima was next to him, and Tape Guy. Now, let's say Todoroki is there as well. As they all see a bunch of villains surround them. As Bakugou is the first one to get up and state, these annoyances. Well, as Todoroki and Kirishima are back to back at the moment as Bakugou joins the three-way back that is happening here. They are facing the villains now, as Todoroki's basically, before anyone could say anything, Todoroki freezes the majority of them. As Kirishima rushes in with his hardening quirk, starting beating the villains, basically beating them into a pulp with his hardening quirk. As Bakugou starts forming his arrows, or his bow and arrow, and start firing these arrows that explode on contact. Bam, bam, bam. He's firing 3, 2, 3 again, 4, and he keeps on firing them. He's like Robin. He's like the Robin. Or he's like Robin. If you ever watched the movie Robin, one with the bow, he's like that. As he fires these arrows all around him, basically taking out villains by the bundle, as their zone was cleared in a matter of seconds, as they both start rushing to the center of the USJ. As Izuku Midoriya had a bit of a hard time, because he's a close range fighter and not quite a long range fighter, but he'll make do. As Izuku basically lands on the boat, or he lands in the water near a boat. As before he could move, he sees a shark or a water villain try to basically literally eat him. As the thing that saved him was Suyu. As Suyu grabs Izuku out of the water before he could be nommed on by a bunch of villains. As Izuku says, "Thanks, Sue. I thank you for that." As he's like, "Don't mind it, but we're gonna need to find a way to get off this boat and back to mainland." As the person that's also on the boat is Mineta. As Izuku thinks, he got an idea. Because Izuku got the hair, and all, basically all, one for all, he is able to do the plan that he does in canon, but with a bit more power and accuracy and without breaking his arms this time, to the point where he can't use it. I mean, there is a bit of damage there, but it's not that bad. As I would state, like, while he was test running, he has felt power like this before, and he knows how some powers like this works. So he knows how to use full cowling. I might do a no, he definitely knows how to use full cowling because of the chakra power he already has. So he knows how to use full cowling. He thinks it's like the Raikage, the Raikage's power, or his lightning armor. How the Raikage covers his basically body with pure lightning armor, as it increases his speed, strength, and even his power itself. So yeah, continuing on. As I would say, Izuku still enacts his plan where he blows a hole under the entire water. The water starts getting drained while Mineta starts throwing a lot of balls to catch the villains. And then they get to shore. So same thing goes with Izuku. As Izuku starts rushing to the center and seeing the scene. As the Nomu is busy pounding on Azawa. As the Nomu has broken Azawa's arms and a lot of his limbs, as Shigaraki states, if All Might won't appear, then the best way to break All Might is to break his spirit. As Shigaraki, basically without them knowing, Shigaraki goes after Suyu. As Shigaraki's hands is outstretched, ready to grab Suyu by a face to use his corrosion on her, or his quirk on her, we see Izuku act before that. Before Shigaraki could even touch her, Izuku pulls out his blade. In a quick motion, Izuku does a swipe, which Shigaraki immediately reacts before his hand got cut off. Sing! As he barely missed. That was close. As I would say that while Shigaraki was stepping back, he couldn't step back in time, as Deku turns his blade to the side and swipes to Shigaraki. As Shigaraki is staring at the blade, the Nomu stops it. Bam! As Izuku finds it hard to push forward, like he just is pushing against some metal, or he's pushing against bricks. His sword cannot advance, as he sees in horror how the Nomu has stopped him. As he braces for impact, as the Nomu socks him in the face and sends him over to Azawa's fallen body. As Shigaraki continues his advance to Suyu, trying to kill her, as Izuku gets down in a position, opening his blade slightly, or opening the blade that is in the hilt now slightly. He opens his eyes, using one for all full cowling, as he rushes towards Shigaraki again, only to be intercepted by the Nomu, and then uses a fake attack, as he fakes out his attack, jumping over the Nomu's hand, basically twisting himself around just to grab Suyu and pull her out of the way. As he continues with this momentum, running around the Nomu with both Suyu and Mineta stuck on Suyu's tongue, and lands next to Azawa. As Shigaraki starts scratching his neck. That little brat. He denied me my kill twice. Nomu, kill him. As the Nomu obeys his master and heads over to Izuku to kill him. As Izuku basically steps back once for seeing this hulking giant in front of him, but not scared. As Izuku takes a breath, as Izuku, sorry about my dog, as Izuku uses again One for All Full Cowling in tandem with his green sword that he manifested obviously and prepares to fight. As Izuku rushes the Nomu. As the Nomu rushes him as well, both Nomu and Izuku not throwing a punch, but the Nomu throwing a punch and Izuku dodging it slightly. As we see Izuku turning his body just slightly to avoid the fist, cuts off his arm entirely, the blade finally going through his skin. With the boosting power of One for All and the power he got from his own dimension, he was able to cut the Nomu's arm off. Also with a bit of wind chakra, that makes it easier. As he cuts the Nomu's arm off, thinking that he's finally gotten the upper hand against the Nomu. As like like God itself was against Izuku, the Nomu's hand starts regenerating before Izuku's eyes. Obviously, Izuku jumps back out of fear and wonder as Shigaraki starts laughing, stating, "What, you stupid? The Nomu has regeneration, so no matter how much times you cut him, it's not gonna work." As Shigaraki starts laughing, as he could already tell Nomu has a bunch of quirks, not just regeneration. You might say he also has shock absorption. As I would say that there is always a way to kill something. Something always has a weakness. As he starts trying to cut the Nomu in random spots of his body, seeing where his weakness is. He's cutting left, limbs off, legs, trying to find the limit of the regeneration quirk while zipping around the Nomu at very fast speeds. As Izuku would discover something. All of his body, bottom half of his body, is able to regenerate. But can the brain regenerate? As Izuku thinks, while getting a smile, he's found the weakness. As Shigaraki states, "Okay, Nomu, enough play. Stop playing with your food and kill him already." As the Nomu stays silent and suddenly disappears out of Izuku's eyes, disappears from his eyes, as Izuku, obviously making a hand sign, just one, gets socked in the face by the Nomu as he disappears into a log as Izuku is on the other side. That was close. As the Nomu wasn't done, the Nomu turned back to Izuku and started chasing after him, disappearing again and reappearing once in front of Izuku. As before he could punch Izuku, the Nomu gets hit by an arrow from a long range and gets blown away. Bam! The Nomu goes sent flying. As Izuku takes a breath and states, "Thanks, Scorchin." As Bakugou, or Katsuki Bakugou, is on a tower basically pulling back a bow. As he states, "That little nerd always needs my help one way or another." As he pulls back his bow and fires a few more arrows. Bam bam. The arrows are like homing missiles. They track down their target and they hit Nomu directly. Two big explosions. Boom. as Bakugou is sweating a lot. Because number one, his quirk has sweat glands, he sweats nitroglycerin, and that's very highly explosive. So yeah, he needs this, and also his bow is making him warmer to sweat more. So yeah, as Bakugo also has a bunch of bottles of water just next to him. As he pulls back his basically arrow again and starts unloading against the Nomu. As pull stands up again, reactivating full cowl at least 20% as he sharpens his blade and he tries to do the same thing, but instead of one for all, he uses wind chakra like the Raikage can do. He tried to practice this long time ago, but really, he hasn't gotten headway. As he begs to the almighty God that is out there that this works. As it did, both with the enhancements of wind chakra armor and full cowling, made him really quick. As Izuku disappears like the Nomu does, as the only person that can track them is Bakugo. Even if he's that far away, he can still track them. His eyes is quite proficient. As Bakugo's eyes is moving left and right, and his bow is moving from right to left, try to follow the Nomu at all times. As he lets go of the rope, the arrows get sent flying. There are 3 arrows this time. As the first arrow that went ahead of all of the 2 basically hits the Nomu first. The Nomu gets sent flying back. Bam! As Izuku rushes forward to the Nomu again. As Izuku does a jump and a spin. While he's doing the spin, he's using the momentum that he's just gained to point his sword forward and make him like I guess, a sort of homing missile while he's spinning. But he's moving pretty quick. Basically equal to the arrows that are moving as fast as he is. As they both hit plus him, basically the Nomu gets blown back. As Bakugo Katsuki is not really aiming for the Nomu's body, but because of the Nomu's quick movements, he can't really hit the head of the Nomu. He's aiming for the brains. As Bakugo cocks back, he's basically stringing again, stating, "This is ridiculous. My aiming is usually accurate, but I can't seem to hit this guy's head." As he lets go a few arrows again, as Izuku knows what Bakugo is trying to aim for. As I would state with Izuku's distraction, Izuku cuts a tender in Bakugo's legs, or in the Nomu's legs. The Nomu gets sent down on one leg, looking up only to see an arrow coming towards him. As before that arrow could hit, Bakugo enchants a few words as 2 dragons start appearing around the arrow. As they start spinning around the arrow, opening their mouth and heading for their target. As Izuku, also not wanting to let Bakugo show him up, says a few chants as a green dragon starts appearing around his sword. As he moves at quick speeds, ready to sever the head of this beast now. As their both attacks collide, a massive explosion happens, with Izuku on the other side and Bakugo making the explosion. Boom! The Nomu falls dead, limp. But it's not like Izuku didn't suffer any injuries. It's just the injuries are only catching up to him now. As Izuku puts his sword down, he drops to the floor, in pain and just basically barely can move. Number 1, using full cowling at least 20% weakened his body a lot. And also using his wind armor that he just gained, that is not perfected yet, left a lot of cuts on his bodies. A lot of cuts on his body. as Izuku didn't pass out quite yet, but he's about to. As we see a lot of the children getting back, as Kurigiri is next to basically Shigaraki. As Shigaraki starts scratching his neck. No, 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 no. No, they cheated, Shigaraki. They cheated. They cheated, Kurigiri. They cheated. It was this Nomu was supposed to kill All Might, not be killed by these side NPCs, as he starts scratching his neck a lot, basically being stressed, as Kurikiri states, Shigaraki, we have to leave now. As the door gets blown open, as we hear a following sequence from All Might. Never fear, 'cause I am here! As All Might yells in the air, but he's not having the smile that he usually has on. As he blitzes all the villains there in the area and knocks them out. As Kurigiri immediately grabs Shigaraki, no more asking, as he pulls Shigaraki in. As Shigaraki is yelling how these NPCs cheated, they used cheats, Kurigiri, they used cheats, yada yada yada. Continuing on, as Izuku finally sees All Might, and with a one relief breath, he passed out. As Bakugou is watching his brother, well, his reincarnated brother, as his brother basically gets himself immediately passes out from all the strain he put his body through. As he sighs, that idiot. He should learn to be more careful. As Bakugou jumps out of the tower that he was in and lands perfectly fine, heading towards his brother. As obviously everything is getting handled, the villains are getting gathered up, as Bakugou, obviously, as All Might really didn't need to do anything, so his time limit is still the same year. And because he's not injured in this What If at the USJ either, his time limit is fine. Continuing on, as Izuku gets sent to the hospital, as Bakugou, well, he gets checked up, but he's fine. So yeah. So I'm gonna stop it here. I know, short video, but yeah, short video. The next part I'll be covering, it will be covering the sports festival. I will be covering the sports festival in my next video. So until then guys, see you later. Bye.